Hello and good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and a huge welcome to this week's LLM Festival Week. We're focusing on the USA for this week, which is such a popular topic among all law students around the world. I'm sure many of you will be keen to find out what different law schools we got involved and what opportunities lie ahead for you. But before we do just go into a bit more detail with today's sponsors, Case Western Reserve University School of Law, just a reminder, this is a recorded live session. So if you're watching on demand, please don't put your questions on Zoom or on any other facility on LLM Study or postgrad.com. Please send your questions through to gareth@postgradsolutions.com. And if you're watching live, please use the chat or Q&A facility on your screen, and we'll be able to answer your question during our Q&A at the end of the session. Now, without holding back too much longer, I'd like to introduce Dean Michael Scharf and Liz Woyczynski as well from Case Western Reserve University School of Law. They're going to be taking you through the next 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll be back to answer some of your questions that have already been asked during our live Q&A towards the end. But for now, Dean Scharf, Liz, over to you, and we'll see you soon.
So greetings to everyone. My name is Liz Woyczynski. I'm Director of Admissions and Student Services at the Master of Laws LLM program at Case Western Reserve University School of Law. And we have one of the oldest LLM programs for international students in the United States, and we look forward to telling you more about it. Dean Scharf, do you want to introduce yourself and start us off?
Yes, thank you very much, Liz. So hi, everybody. I'm Michael Scharf. I've been Dean of Case Western Reserve University School of Law for 10 years now. My background is I used to be attorney advisor for United Nations Affairs at the U.S. Department of State. I started an NGO called the Public International Law and Policy Group, which won a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. I am currently the president of the American branch of the International Law Association. And the best thing I do is I teach classes, including LLMs, and coach the Jessup International Law Moot Court team and help with the Journal of International Law at our law school. Case Western Reserve has been really on the forefront of LLM in American academia. We started our LLM program 32 years ago. And over the years, it has been consistently ranked among the top in all of the LLM programs in the United States. And our international law program that includes the LLMs and the JDs and the SJDs, that has been ranked in the top 10 for the last several years. This year, US News and World Report ranks it number 10 in the country. That's out of all the different law schools, and we're very proud of what we've accomplished here and excited to tell you about it. Next slide. So Case Western Reserve University is one of the top universities in the world. We've had 18 Nobel laureates. We are known worldwide, and in US News and World Report, we're also ranked number 53. Next slide. So I mentioned our LLM program has been ranked as in the top in student experience by international jurists. That's really important because, as you're going to hear today, some LLM programs in the United States are not as comprehensive as ours. What we've been doing over the last 32 years is making sure that the people who come from all over the world not only get a great education here, but get a great cultural immersion. And you're going to hear more about this, but we send our students on field trips locally and to such exciting places as last week, we sent our LLMs to Niagara Falls, the largest waterfall in the world, and it's 2.5 hours from our campus. Our law school not only is ranked as a top school in international law, but also intellectual property law, business and corporate law, and environmental law. And our law faculty is known as one of the best faculty in the country in scholarly impact, but also Princeton Review just ranked us number 26 in terms of our ability to be great teachers. Our faculty don't just like to publish, they care about the students and about their teaching. Next slide. This just shows you, the schools that are ranked in the top in the United States. And you can tell, Case Western right up there is among some of the very best. And some of the schools I'm sure you've heard of, like Harvard, are ranked significantly lower when it comes to their international law programs.
So we offer 4 different Master of Laws degrees. The first one that we want to mention is the U.S. and Global Legal Studies. It was our original LLM program that we offered starting 32 years ago. And it's a general law degree that allows our LLM students a lot of flexibility. We have some core classes that are required of students in all 4 LLM degrees. After those 3 classes are completed, if you're pursuing the LLM and US and Global Legal Studies, all the classes at the law school are open to you, and all of them up to the 24 credits that are required to complete the degree meet degree requirements. So you could take classes in business law and IP law and criminal law and family law. It could be a variety of things. And this is the LLM degree that we recommend for students who want to prepare for a US bar exam, because that allows you to pick subjects in all bar tested subjects so that you can prepare to pass a US bar exam. You can also use the flexibility in US and Global Legal Studies to get a smaller kind of minor or a concentration, as we call it, in a specific subject of interest. And we allow students to pick that subject. So we've had students do minors in business law, but we've also had them do minors in health law or bankruptcy or investment law. So you tell us what kind of minor you'd like to put together, and I can help you pick 10 credits in that subject. Our most popular LLM degree is the one in international business law. We have dozens of classes in business law that you can pick from. You have to take business associations in addition to the required LLM classes. But after that, the list of classes that you can pick from in different subjects in business law is vast and allows you to, even though you're concentrating just in business law and all your classes are in that area, you have a lot of options to choose from. Our LLM and intellectual property law covers everything that you need to know about patent law and trademark law and copyright law, and even classes in like music and the arts or managing the professional athlete. Those kinds of classes lend a lot of diversity to the curriculum. And we have a Master of Laws in International Criminal Law. And again, we have a wide variety of classes taught by outstanding scholars who have a lot of experience in international criminal law, and they do a great job. In addition to the Master of Laws program, we have a Doctor of Juridical Science degree. So that's the terminal degree in law. It's for students who want to perhaps go back to their country to teach law, or maybe they want to prepare themselves for the highest levels of government service. So that is like a PhD. You pick a topic and you research it for 2 to 3 years with a faculty advisor, and you publish, what's kind of like a small book, your dissertation, and we have LLMs transfer into that program. We also have LLMs transfer into the JD program. They take the LSAT during their LLM years, and a few classes can transfer into the JD program. Those students are generally interested maybe in staying in the US after they graduate, and want to get the JD degree to enhance their preparedness to practice law in the United States. So in addition to, of course, our degree programs, we do a lot outside of the classroom to prepare students for subsequent careers in law. One of our greatest resources is this alumni network that we've established starting 32 years ago. So we have over 1,300 LLM alumni in 60 different countries. So we connect our LLM students to those graduates, and those we have over the years, we have probably 100 LLM graduates practicing law in the United States, in addition to all these countries around the world. And they can provide great mentoring advice to our current students. We also have a strong international law community in Cleveland. So we have the Greater Cleveland International Lawyers Group in Cleveland, and they host regular, several times a semester kinds of talks. They bring in lawyers from around the world to talk about legal issues in countries around the world. And that's a great opportunity for our students to join for the lecture and the lunch, meeting and talking to people in Cleveland, lawyers in Cleveland, some of whom are our graduates, who are practicing international business law in Cleveland. There's also the international section of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, also the same kind of lectures and events for networking. And one of our colleagues is the executive director of the Greater Cleveland Chinese Chamber of Commerce. And she also organizes networking online with Chinese business officials, and there are lots of people interested in doing business in China in Cleveland. So as we talked about, we do a lot to prepare for a US bar exam. So there's a free class that students can take while they're enrolled here. We just brought in a representative from one of the bar prep organizations to talk with our LLMs about how to qualify for a bar exam and how to prepare to pass a bar exam after 1 year of studies in the LLM program. And the university here at Case Western Reserve, being a top-ranked research university, attracts international students from all over the world. I think there are over 100 different countries represented at Case Western Reserve at any different time in all our different programs of study. So the university has developed a wonderful support system to help students further develop their English language while they're here, not only to learn about language, but to learn about culture in the United States and how to make the most of their lives on campus and off campus. So we also have an LLM Plus program that allows students in a third semester, when you might take a reduced number of credits, to pursue a legal internship, or it's called an externship at that point, because it goes on your transcript as part of your academic experience. So we reach out to our colleagues through these international law groups that I mentioned before, through our alumni, to help students find such professional development opportunities. So I mentioned a little bit before about the tutoring that we offer in English. We also, do a lot to try to pair our international LLM students with our JD students, most of whom are American. There are a few international JD students too, but those students have been through some of the classes that the LLMs are taking. So we have them be prepared to be peer tutors in contract law and BA, patent law, those kinds of things. And we have American JD students who are attracted to our law school because we have such a great reputation in international law. So they're especially interested in international experiences and international friendships. So we have a lot of American students who sign up to be mentors to our international LLMs. And so I introduce our international LLMs to coffee and culture, just to meet up for coffee for our 1L JD students, but then our 2L and 3L JD students serve as mentors, helping students to just reinforce not only how to take advantage of campus life in Cleveland, but how to succeed academically. And through classes and through the efforts of our office, we definitely have students attend court proceedings in Cleveland. at our federal and municipal courthouse. These are some of our more illustrious alums. At the top of Canadian government posts, Mr. Champagne. This gentleman is a very successful lawyer in India, having won awards by the Indian Bar Association. He graduated from one of the most prestigious LLM BA programs in law in Thailand, and then came to our LLM program, and then now is a partner at Baker and McKenzie, an illustrious international law firm. And she's at the top of Siemens China as a corporate lawyer. So these are just a few of our many alumni. Dean Scharf, do you want to take it from here and talk about our location?
So, most people from outside the United States are familiar with New York City and Washington, D.C., maybe Orlando, where Disney is, and then over on the other coast, Los Angeles. But what they don't realize is that Cleveland, Ohio, is really the central place of about half the population of the United States. So what this circle shows you is you can jump in a car at our law school, and in one day, 500 miles, you can get to New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Columbus, Ohio. We're really close to all of these things. Plus, you can go up to Toronto and Ottawa, and you can go, as I said before, and visit Niagara Falls. So much is located within a quick drive of our law school. And that's one of our really big selling points, because we want to expose you to our country and our culture. Now, a lot of people who don't know anything about Cleveland are thinking, wow, we're a Rust Belt, gritty inner city place. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Our law school is on University Circle, ranked the #1 arts district in all of the United States. We're actually in a park that's 4.5 acres large, called East Bell Commons. And the law school is the brick building with the green roof in that picture. Next to it is a Frank Gehry designed business school. Behind it is our art museum, which is ranked #2 in the country. And to the right in that picture is our botanical garden. The law school is about a 10-minute drive from downtown, and you can see the skyscrapers in the background. But we are in a forestry park, a very relaxing place to study the law. Next slide, please. And this is just our neighborhood from the sky. You can see we've circled the law school, and then right next to it is the big art museum, and you could just see that we're part of a giant park system there. We even have a lake called Wade Lagoon there. When you come and visit us, we encourage you to go, for example, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is the picture on the upper left. We have these pedestrian streets that are full of restaurants, and we're known as a real foodie town because the culinary options are so vast and excellent. We're also a beach community. Lake Erie is the 11th largest freshwater lake in the world, and we have beaches that people go to during the spring, summer, and fall. And that's on the upper right. On the bottom left, you see our lake that I mentioned before. Bottom center is our botanical garden right across the street from the law school. And then really special in the bottom right is Severance Hall, the home of the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra. And the Cleveland Orchestra has been rated in the top 5 in the world for the last 30 years. And, when they go and they play abroad, there are long, long lines to get in. It's very difficult. But our students have specially priced tickets and can easily get in. And we send groups of students to the performances almost every week. It's a really wonderful thing to be able to do when you get out of class with your friends. Back to you.
So let me talk a little bit about preparation to apply for and attend our LLM program. If English is not the first language or the language that you've been educated in, and you want to study English here in Cleveland before you start your LLM, we're affiliated with ELS, which has places around the United States and even in other countries where students study English. Our ELS center is a 5-minute walk from the law school, and students can be admitted on the basis of graduating from ELS 111 or 112. And those are their highest level classes. Each class is a month long, starting at ELS 101. So the students who graduate from ELS 111 or 112, they don't have to take TOEFL or IELTS. So we've had a very good experience of students being very well prepared for the demands of reading and writing in law school through ELS, and that's a great option. So we do have 2 intakes for our LLM program. So you can start in the fall semester, or you can start in the spring semester. So the application deadline for the spring semester is October 15th. So the spring semester starts in the middle of January. So you're applying a few months before the spring semester starts at the beginning of January, the middle of January. And our fall semester starts at the end of August. So we have students apply by April 1st for that. We have a PDF application for LLM admission. It's posted on our website. There's no application fee. And you can email the application to llmsjd@case.edu. And my colleague and I will get it, and we'll evaluate your application on a rolling basis. So you can scan your credentials that are required. They're all listed there right on the PDF application for admission. And you will get an admission decision, which includes a scholarship review within a week of completing your application for admission. So you'll see when you open the PDF that we require the transcript, a personal statement, and 2 letters of recommendation. So yeah, we do a thorough review of your credentials, and we make it as quick and hassle-free for you as possible when you apply. So these are sort of our admission and scholarship standards. So we're looking for at least a 70 or an IELTS of 60. And so that would be if you're coming to our summer program, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So if you want to start right in August or start right in January without this introductory summer program, then you need to have an 80 on the TOEFL or a 6.5 on the IELTS. So generally, we're also looking for kind of like the equivalent of a B or B minus kind of average in your undergraduate education. And I will say that most of our students come with bachelor's degrees in law, but we do have students who apply with bachelor's degrees in other subjects, as happens for our JD program. Of course, JD in the United States is a graduate degree program, not undergraduate, even though it's the first degree in law. So we do the same for our LLM students. So there might be students who have backgrounds in finance, or they might have backgrounds in science and engineering, and they might be attracted to an LLM degree in business law or an LLM degree in IP law based on their undergraduate degrees, even though they're not in law. So that's accepted too. So if the students do have outstanding IELTS scores or TOEFL scores, then we do make them eligible for a 20% tuition scholarship. Those scores can be scanned and emailed to us with the other application materials. And as I said before, we evaluate applications on a rolling basis. So shortly after you apply, you'll get a letter of admission and determination of scholarship. We also have this great summer program where we introduce students to common law and how to analyze and summarize common law, how to read case law. So that's great for students who maybe aren't quite yet interested in an LLM degree, but they want to come here and just get a general introduction to what studying in an American law school would be, with high class participation between students and professors, and learning a bit about how to read case law and understand common law. So we would like students to apply by June 15th for that summer program. And we expect, as we said before, the lower levels of TOEFL or IELTS in preparation for that summer program. So that is our quick summary of our LLM degree program. And we have our LLM-SJD at case.edu, where you can get in touch with me and our colleagues here at the law school. And we are happy to answer your questions the day they arrive. So
Liz, thank you very much. A great opening presentation. It's always fascinating to see and hear from law schools that, you know, aren't necessarily, like Dean Scharf mentioned earlier, they're not in New York, they're not in Orlando, they're not in California, where people internationally recognize as, let's say, the only places in the USA sometimes. Dean Scharf, I want to come to you first, and thank you for your presentation earlier, by the way. And I want to put emphasis on Cleveland, because you mentioned, you showed that great map with the 500-mile radius, how you can jump in a car and within one day be in New York, or half the population of the USA, or that live there, certainly. Talk to me about the importance of that, because you also mentioned about how, you know, you're the #1 arts district in the USA, and you've got some of the best beauty spots around. How important is that to a student when they come, that they're not in the hustle and bustle of New York or San Diego or somewhere like that?
So I think the most important thing about studying abroad is not just the classes you're taking, because you can take classes online if you want. It's the cultural exposure. And so when you come here, you can spend time with JD students and other LLM students from around the world and study not just in our library, but you can study across the street in the art museum, which has a big food court. And what you can do is spend some time with your classmates. You walk around and you see the Van Goghs and the Monets, and then you are kind of inspired to do some real talking about the law. You know, the other thing is Cleveland, although it's not as big a city as New York, it has the 3rd largest concentration of international lawyers in the country. And that's a big surprise to a lot of people. Cleveland is a lawyer's city, a law firm city. Some of the biggest law firms in the world are headquartered in Cleveland, like Jones Day and Squire Patton Boggs, Baker Hostetler, Thompson Hine. And because of that, our Cleveland International Lawyers Group, which our LLMs go to once a month, and they spend time having lunch and watching programs with the Cleveland area lawyers in a place called the Cleveland City Club, which is a really amazing venue. It's 100 years old, and it's the center of free thought and expression for not just Cleveland, but for the world. And it's right here in town. So yeah, there's a lot of really special things about Cleveland. And that's why even our JD students, we're a national law school. We attract more than half of our students from outside of the area, because people want to come and study the law in a place like Cleveland.
And I just want to add too that, could I add that the cost of living here in Cleveland is really is so attractive to students, American students and international students both. So there are affordable apartments to live in for our graduate students within walking distance. Also, students as part of their fees at the university, they get public transportation, a sticker right on their ID card, and then they never have to pay for public transportation as they get buses and our electric light rail around the city. So again, cost of living is a big asset here.
We also have almost 1,000 miles of bike trails. We have both a national park system and a city park system that is, it's called the Emerald Necklace, and it's constantly ranked among the best. So it's a real outdoorsy place, which is wonderful. I know a lot of your students are thinking, oh, Cleveland, it's going to be cold there. There's going to be a couple of months of snow, but even then, we've got places to ski that are just 30 minutes away from the law school, and that can be fun too. There's a skating rink directly across the street for outdoor skating. So you're going to get a chance to really immerse yourself in the culture of the United States when you come here.
And can I talk about the type of student and the culture? Because there will be people watching now and in the future, no doubt, that will ask, is it right for me? What type of different nationalities do you get? You know, you mentioned I was frantically writing that stat about Cleveland being one of the top cities for lawyers. I never knew that. So never mind the rest of the world, and we work in the industry. So, you know, if there's African students watching, do you get a lot of students from Nigeria and Kenya and Egypt? If you're European, you get a lot of students from the UK and Spain, France, Portugal, and so on. Where do a lot of your students come from an international level?
I would say that in Europe, we regularly have had students, even in the last 2 or 3 years, from United Kingdom, from Spain, and from France. We have a Nigerian student now, and we have a visiting professor from Nigeria. So we also have several students from Libya. So we do get students from Africa. And we have a number of students from the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates. We have students from Asia, of course, China, but we also have students from, including Taiwan, Thailand, etc. So we do have students that come from all over, and we recently graduated some students from Mexico too.
You know, and just to tell you sort of where these students rise up to when they leave our law school and go back home. Mohammed Chambas, one of our graduates, became the president of ECOWAS, and then he was in charge of the African Bureau at the United Nations. Liz already mentioned Francois-Philippe Champagne. He was the foreign minister of Canada. Now he's the trade minister. People are saying that he's on the short list to be the next prime minister. Also in Africa, we have Duncan Gazwaga, who's the chief judge of their war crimes chamber in Uganda, and Razamel Matuka, who ran the piracy court in Kenya. So, you know, a lot of our grads are going off and really making a huge impact in the world.
And that's so important. That is, for any student watching, one of the biggest things is what their career holds for them after studies. Can I just touch upon the hand-holding process that you help the student go through as well? Because there will be students inevitably that will be watching this that will say, I'm not comfortable with completing my visa. I'm not comfortable with where to live when I'm in Cleveland. I'm not comfortable with the application process as a whole. How much do you help the student, and how do you go about that? And what is your communication like with that student? Liz, if I let you start with that one.
Sure. I think when we've explained all the support services that we offer to our international LLM students, as through the Office of Global Legal Studies and through Case Western Reserve University in general, that's why we're ranked by international jurists as one of the best LLM programs for student experience. So yeah, since the program was established, the tone was set by our founding professors that this was going to be a family-like atmosphere, and that we were going to provide support for students both in and outside the classroom. So again, we make the application process very accessible, very not too bureaucratic. We and right after students are enrolled, or right after they tell us that they're interested and enrolled, I'm connected with them on WhatsApp, I'm connected with them on WeChat. So we're giving them text message advice through the time that they're applying through visas and they're looking for apartments. We also arrange for our current students to pick our new students up at the airport. So yeah, so there's a friendly face, somebody who knows not just Cleveland, but the law school, who meets you at the airport. So then of course there's the orientation activities, and I talked a little bit about how we're introducing students not only to each other and to our professors, but to our JD students who are very attracted to our reputation in international law and eager to make friends with lawyers from other countries. And they serve as wonderful mentors in addition to the support that our staff and faculty provide. So
Gareth,
that includes career advice as well. So we do resume writing workshops, and we do practice interviews, and we help again with the networking that we have with our LLM alumni in the United States, who think very fondly of their year in Cleveland at the LLM program, and who are eager to give back to our current students.
Gareth, I just
would you like to elaborate further?
I just wanted to add, last week we had this info forum about our international law program, and most of the people there were JD students, and we had Julia Liston, one of our professors in the LLM program, do a presentation, and she said, how many of you in the room, there's like 100 people in the room, would like to join up to do coffee or a movie with our LLM students to help them learn about our culture? And all their hands shot up. We really integrate the LLM program because it's not just good for the LLM students, we think it's good for the JD students as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's small details like that that make such a big difference. I think when you hear about what makes you guys stand out to other law schools, it's totally 100% that personal element, making the student feel warm and welcome. Because it's a daunting time for students, especially if they go abroad. It's a big time, as we know. So for you guys to do that, it's fantastic. Now, I'm just gonna just scan over a few of the questions that have been asked already. Now, I appreciate a lot of these have been answered already, so I'm just going to ask an answer. Do I need a good level of English? John's asked that question. I feel like that's been covered in the presentation already. I think it was 6.5 on IELTS and higher on the TOEFL. Is it inexpensive compared to other major states? I think you guys have both explained that very well. Please, can you let me know if you've got any industry connections and what opportunities are available to engage with large organizations for both work placements and paid work experience? I think that's a really good question, because you've touched upon where past students have ended up now and where that's taken them. That's fantastic. But if you're a current student looking to come to Cleveland, looking to come to II and study with you guys, what opportunities are there afterwards? What connections have you got? What alumni opportunities are there? Dean Scharf, if I start with yourself.
So we have kept in touch with our alumni, the LLM alums, and we have email lists, and we regularly email them. We ask them if they want to help students coming through get internships and get jobs in the field, or just get advice. And they are a really loyal group of alums, partly because I think they've really enjoyed the experience. They've bonded with our school. And so they then, reach back out and help the students that are coming through. Because we've been doing this for 32 years, and we've got 1,300 alums in our LLM program all over the world, it's a huge network. And we are able to connect people very easily and help launch their careers.
Excellent. Liz, would you like to elaborate further on that? Because I know that that's quite important to you guys. That's a big one for you.
Sure. Yeah, I think the important thing to finding opportunities is that to start early. So we mentioned that repeatedly during the orientation session, that it's not the time to look for these internships and externships is not when you graduate, but to start as soon as you enroll. So as soon as you enroll, you need to get your resume set in an American style that we teach as that employers will expect here. And we need to get you practicing how to do your elevator speech about who you are, and do that at these events that we talked about with the Cleveland International Lawyers Group downtown. So that kind of practice is really essential, and networking, anyone will tell you, is key to finding those. So we have the network, and we certainly encourage students to build up their preparedness to network during their first semester of their LLM program.
Excellent. And I want to finish off as well on admission opportunities for students, what intakes. I know you've covered it already in a presentation, but I think it's so important to just re-emphasize when your intakes are, when the deadlines are. If a student is struggling, the summer school you mentioned. So would you like to just take a minute or two just to talk about that again? Because I think the deadline for the summer school was June. So it's a good time to perhaps start looking and see what we want to do, because would you believe 9 months' time will come around very, very fast in this world. So feel free to just talk about that for a minute or two just before we wrap things up.
Sure. For anyone who's interested, our upcoming intake would be for the spring semester. So the deadline is coming up for that for October 15th. And yeah, it's important to pay attention to these deadlines, because even though our application process can be efficient and friendly, there are many steps that students need to take to secure an I-20, and then to get a visa, and then to make their airline reservations to get here in time for the orientation, which is so important to setting up for success. So yeah, October 15th. And then yeah, we have a larger intake, of course, for our fall semester, which starts at the end of August, and the application deadline for that is April 1st. So yeah, those are deadlines to keep in mind. We try to be flexible sometimes on those deadlines, but again, the process that the international students need to go through to get the I-20 and the visa doesn't leave much room. So we want our admission deadlines give students plenty of time to do those extra steps for enrollment. Yeah, and as I say, we do admissions on a rolling basis, and you'll find out within a week after you've completed your application about admission and scholarship opportunities both.
Excellent. Dean Scharf, Liz, thank you for your time. It's been a fantastic opening session. And we have much more coming up as well. On the screen, you will see the various different law schools that we're working with over the next 2 to 3 days. And we are joined by Widener University, Delaware Law School in just 10 to 15 minutes time, followed by Brooklyn Law School and San Diego. So if anyone's got any questions or any concerns, anything that they've missed out, this is a recorded session, so we will be sending this to you in the near future. Everyone's got your details. If you've signed up for this week, if you've signed up to this session, we will be sure to reach out to you. But for now, Dean Michael Scharf, Liz, thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in 2024. But for now, thank you. Bye-bye.